Good evening and welcome along to another episode of the Blues Brothers podcast, the Alternative Rangers podcast. And never mind, bargain hunting referee David Dickinson proved himself the real deal last night and got all the right people very angry today. On the pitch after a dreadful first half showing, Rangers upped the gears in the second half, achieving the high fives. We also saw Skov Olsen got off the mark, the introduction of our new German hammer, and the Belgian left back who looks terrific. Joining me to discuss all that and more, my very good friend, Mr. Ross Clark. And Ross, I know I fucked up the intro, mate, so I do apologise. How are you, mate?
Mate, I'm all the better for being able to listen to an intro and not have my hands between my fingers, wondering where it's gone, mate. That was very muted for you. I'm proud. I'm very proud of you. Proud, as Sir Alex would say.
I know, mate. I just wanted to sort of calm down on the misogynist claims that have been against me in recent weeks, mate. So I thought we'll temper it down, mate. But
I'm totally unfounded as well.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. But no, mate, it's good to see you're looking well, mate. You're looking well.
Aye, mate. I'm just back to the Braehead Shopping Centre. So you know what that's. You know what it's like you're in the centres, but it was actually dead because it's two of the most important women in my life's birthdays tomorrow. So my ma and Cole both share a birthday, so that means they share a star sign and share the same psychotic tendencies. So that's mate, how are you getting on?
I'm doing all right, Ross. All the better for seeing you, mate, and many happy returns for everybody here to them, mate. So let's start with last night, mate, and obviously carrying on from what I think was the disappointment of Sunday, and we've not really had a chance to speak about it. We say in the title race, mate, or the title challenge, that you're not allowed too many sort of mistakes when it gets to this point, especially when you are part of the chasing pack. And we did obviously drop points at Easter Road on Sunday. And I think it was pretty insipid in terms of a performance, flat, lethargic. Now, whether that be the sort of travelling for, Thursday and the knock-on effects, and it also begs to question why Danny Rule had so many big hitters playing Thursday night. But with 5 changes on Sunday, was it for you a disappointment against Hibs at Easter Road?
After the run we were on, mate, you're always going to be disappointed when that run of consecutive victories comes to a close. But in the grand scheme of things, mate, after the run of games we'd had and travelling to Porto on the Thursday, a draw at Easter Road, you might look back on and say it's the difference, the point that won you the league. So I think taking it into context is quite important on that one. It's not as if it was in the Russell Martin times when you maybe had got a win or two after the consecutive run of games we'd been on. You can't win them all, Davie, unless you're Steven Gerrard's team. So it's disappointing, but I didn't think it was title challenge ending. I never got too low. And then thankfully for us, results in the Hearts game the following day went for us. Not the following day, but the Hearts result against St Mirren went for us. So all in all, mate, it was good to get back on the saddle last night with what was a convincing win in the end up.
And that's an interesting point to start. Now, we'll come to how the game started and the big decision very soon. But I want to talk about the first half performance in general, because I think there's a common theme between Sunday and the first half last night. And for me, that common theme is Tello Asgard, Ross. I think we're not getting enough out the boy. And I know we all talk in group chats or when we're having talks with our mates or the guys at work that support the Rangers. Everybody says about this guy, oh, you can't play him in the games away from him when it really matters. I mean, you look at Easter Road, you look at Parkhead. I get that he scored up at Pittodrie, but maybe a bit fortuitous. He was just the right man in the right place that night. In terms of general play, did he contribute much? Does he ever contribute much? Now, if you're a guy who has alleged quality, stick one in the top bin like he did in the cup game in the last round, right? But it's not like George Albert's where he's doing that every week in every big game that matters. He's very fleeting, to say the least. And I just don't get the manager's persistence in Tello Asgard. I don't see someone that's there for the fight of a title challenge in terms of a player in him.
I think Tello Asgard, we spoke about, it's a big step up going for League One to the level he's playing at now. You can see the boy's got technique. You can see the boy's got talent. He's getting up to speed. Where I think we're making a mistake with him is you've got Mikey Moore there, who's ultimately is going to be a superstar, who is much better playing in that position. You've only got Mikey Moore for this season at the moment. Would you love to take him again next year and make that, as I've said before, say like Paddy Roberts type, get him on an 18-month, 2-year loan? 100% I would. But see, for now, Asgard should be playing fleetingly for me, and Mikey Moore should be starting in the 10. And what that allows you to do is get the better player at this moment in time in there, but also lets Asgard come on for the last 20, 30 minutes, rotate Moore out, and allow Asgard to come in and get up to pace with the Scottish game and the way teams play. For me, it still looks very much, and I said this to you with the first couple of times I watched Sander playing at Doncaster, League One to me looks like a much slower, more time on the ball than SPL. And you've got this guy who's came for there, who's trying to find his feet in what should be our most, no prolific, but he should be involved in the most action. And I think what you find is when he gets it, he wants to take a touch, rather than getting it out his feet and going forward. He's maybe used to being able to take a touch, get the heat up and then go. You don't get that 3 or 4 seconds in Scotland. And I think he's struggling to adapt to that. So again, mate, the whole starting 11 yesterday was a bit mad for me, considering you're playing Queen's Park at the weekend. I thought maybe that would be the time to get some other guys some minutes. Playing Scov Olsen away to Hibs and then no playing him at home to Kilmarnock when everybody can see he needed 60 minutes in his legs. But yet again, I've criticised their starting 11 and then Scov Olsen and Ant-Man and that come off the bench and score late on. So again, that's why I'm sitting here and Danny Rose, the Rangers manager.
Now, see, off the ball, right? It's almost like he falls into a 4-4-2 shape off the ball when Asgard plays. It's almost like he's just off of Miovski. Miovski's there and he's just off him, off the ball. But I don't see him pressing the opposition. I don't see him harrying into a tackle. I don't see him tracking runners, mate. I don't see him moving into pockets to pick up the ball in the right area to then move on forward again. I also don't see him following his run when he moves the ball forward on the rare occasions that does happen. So again, I just want to know if when he's in the team, is he no more a hindrance to us and opposition can almost overload and bypass us because he's there, almost an empty jersey at times?
I think a bit of the problem as well, mate, is he's maybe, I'm not saying he's not got the football and intelligence, but see Mikey Moore, when somebody comes into his space, he'll either drop off, he'll move on one, he'll move. Asgard for me is like, no, I'm playing here and I've got a margin where I can run from the edge of their D to the edge of the centre circle. And that's my space and that's my channel and that's where I play. So I feel as if quite a lot of the time when you've got maybe Gassama or a Mikey Moore playing on the left and cutting in, he ends up in their space and it just nullifies him totally. So I don't know whether he struggles with that side of it as well. Maybe it's not as fluent as it should be for him and that he's been told he's playing there and that's his position and he doesn't wander. But he gets in the way quite a lot, and then sometimes I feel as if he drops deep to get on the ball just for the sake of saying he's been on the ball, and then he'll play a safe pass, and then as you say, doesn't he then go left or right to make an angle? He just stays in that wee pocket. So I struggle to criticise him too much because, as I say, I think he's still adapting to life at Rangers. I think we're overplaying him in the fact that there's a better player for that position. There's possibly two right now. You would say maybe Bajrami in the 10 could be equally as good, if not a better option. But he's serving a Scottish football apprenticeship now, and I feel as if maybe it's confidence, maybe it's not being up to the speed of the league, maybe I think there's actually quite a lot of factors going into that, and I think that for the time being, him, Gassama and Miovski, the three of them, I don't think are where they should be for a Rangers team right now to be starting week in, week out.
Now, let's talk about the first half and how it started. 3-4 minutes in, great piece of play rather from Mikey Moore, mate. Slips the ball inside, Gassama runs beyond Thompson, brought down, penalty kick. David Dickinson, very quick, took his time to produce the red card, but was quick in terms of had a quick look to the assistant and gave the red card. Penalty given, mate. I don't think there's any debate about it. Social media is in a massive sort of furore the day in regards to Rangers getting a penalty and a red card, but I think it's plain for all to see that is one of the most stonewall of penalty kicks you're ever going to get, and red card.
So it's this is going to open up the conversation you're going to have later in the game when it comes to Tavernier as well. Denying of a goal scoring opportunity. So the ball's played through, Gassama's running onto the direct path of the ball. Therefore, Gassama's clean through one-on-one with the goalie. That's why it's a penalty. The reason it's a red card is their player makes no attempt to play the ball. If the player attempts to play the ball, then it would be a yellow card because of the double jeopardy rule. So he doesn't make any attempt to play the ball, and the reason he doesn't make any attempt to play the ball is because he doesn't know Gassama's coming round the blind side of him. So I don't think the boy goes out his way to body check Gassama. I think he just doesn't expect Gassama to be in the position he's in. Where that's bringing up the social media furore, and me and you spoke about this often, you said the exact same as me, is in the other instance, the ball's running through into Butland's arms. So there's no goal-scoring opportunity there. Last week, Celtic against Hearts, the ball's running through and the Hearts boy's going to get onto it. Whether he's going wide or whether he's gone through the centre, he's running onto the ball. And we've seen the exact position the Hearts boy was going to pick the ball up in is where Mikey Moore put one by Schmeichel for the week before. So that's the difference. It's a red card and it's a penalty all day long. And I like to think that, as I've said on here before, I've been honest in my looks at contentious decisions, and there's been a few I've thought we've got away with one, but that yesterday's a penalty and a red card. The laws of the game tell you that.
Well, while we're on incidents, we might as well just touch on the Tav incident since you came to it, mate. Now, I think if you look at it in terms of open play, right, there is scope there if a referee subjectively views that it could be potentially another yellow card, but the referee would need to judge that he thinks Tav's fouled him, and if he has fouled him, that it merits a yellow card and gives him it. And if the ref gave that, there wouldn't have been much a debate. I think folk maybe argued against it, but it wouldn't have been as big a thing as what it is. Now, a lot of folk online are sort of jumping the gun, as you've mentioned, and saying that they see that as dogso, as you quite rightly say. It's no denying of a goal-scoring opportunity because the ball bounces off the surface, the other end in which the Kilmarnock player's running towards. So the ball sort of bounces left to centre towards Jack Butland, where he's running right to centre, and skidding off that surface. There's no way the Kilmarnock player's getting on the end of that ball, so it's not a goal-scoring opportunity. But even if you were to be the harshest critic of Tav and say that is a red card incident, then the way that VAR is viewed, it starts from the attacking phase of play. So you would need to run it back to when Kilmarnock regained possession of the ball, and they gained possession of the ball for a clear foul on Miovski, which Dickinson clearly let go, yet he's hauled to the ground with two arms, and that's how they gained possession of the ball. So APP if VAR got involved last night, if they did, for some reason, deem that a red card, which would have been absolutely ridiculous, then it would have probably been a Rangers foul. And we know that they go back to APP because was it no Tom Lawrence or Dessers or somebody denied a goal in an Old Firm game that went back 132 passes and they still managed to chop off a goal that was scored. So this is the thing. There is a lot of subjectivity when these decisions are involved. And I know because there is a title challenge, our rivals will ramp it up, that Rangers get everything. A lot's made about David Dickinson and his family, and that's all the talk is on social media. But I think we all need to take a step back. The referees are absolutely honking. They're equally honking for every team in the league, and we need a better calibre. The problem with the top of the tree is it's Wullie Collum that's running this process, and he's not improved one single referee that's took, but we just have to chill a wee bit and take away the sort of poisonous aspect, I think, where it gets to the guys' personal lives and you're mentioning their family and putting pictures of them up on social media. It's just getting a wee bit too much, mate, is it no?
Mate, Frank Connor, the guy who in the VAR room said it's more in than out or more out than in at the cup final, Celtic fan Francis Connor was in the VAR room last night. So if he's on assistant VR, then why is it not being called back if it's this? That see for me, Davie, see when you watch, there's a slow motion video going about the now, right? And Tavernier puts an arm across the front of him. But see, at the same time, if you watch their boy's left arm, he's got his arm wrapped around Tavernier that way. So for me, it's two players coming together. Even
does he throw himself to the ground, mate, in your opinion?
Of course he does, but then so does anybody in that situation, because you're not getting to the ball, so you're looking for the foul, right? So I don't grudge the boy for feeling the contact and asking the question, right? I don't grudge that at all. At the very worst, because the ball isn't gone towards their players not getting on the end of the ball, at the very worst, it's a yellow card for Tavernier. That would see him sent off. The rules of VAR say you can't give a yellow card retrospectively, so therefore it's done. I'm the first to say you maybe, if you look at it and you say who grabbed who first, it's a normal football contact. The boys went down, quite rightly so in my opinion, because he knows he's not getting on the ball, so he's tried his luck to see if he gets something else. Not get any issue with that. I'm not saying he's dived, he's felt the contact and he's went down, because he's not getting a free kick if he stays up, so he's chanced his arm. But as you say, there's a clearer foul on Miovski as the boy lumps the ball forward, which would have took it back anyway. So I think, as you say, it's all a bit. Both sides, they're the exact same thing, mate. I've just done it myself. Frank Connor, the Celtic fan, John Beaton, for me, gave one decision against Celtic about 5 years ago, and he's never gave a decision against them since. Yeah, obviously, follow Hearts fans on Twitter. They think Beaton's a Rangers and a Celtic fan. Celtic fans think he loves Rangers. So we've had this conversation on here hundreds of times, Davie. The referees are just really poor, and they're ran by a wet wipe who, as we've said before, on his wee monthly review show now, is actually trying to justify bad decisions because he's apologised that much in the kind of first 3 or 4 months of the season, that he's now trying to justify bad decisions, like Areo's blatant red card that the boy gets sent off with the United for a lesser tackle the other day. So referees are just not very good. They're not being led by a strong or a decent referee in Wullie Collum. And when you're in a 3-horse race for the title, and we are very much in a 3-horse race for the title, every team is going to try and put the boot into referees to put that wee extra bit of pressure and shine a bit of spotlight. But as I've said to you before on here also, at the risk of repeating myself, I want Chris Boyd and people like that to be putting the boot in on behalf of Rangers. I don't want to hear from John Hartson and Chris Sutton and James McFadden. I want us to be pushing that narrative as well, because there's other referees who have gave crappy decisions against us throughout the course of the season. So to me, the referees are no great, and everybody's going to see it through their own tinted colour of spectacles, because the league is so tight, mate. So it was a bit ranty. It took a bit longer than I expected, but we got there in the end, Davie.
I like it, mate. Keep it coming, keep it coming. So let's move it back to the football and let's move it back to the Rangers, mate. And as we say, the first half was very flat, just sort of continuing on for Hibs. And I think Gary makes a good point in the fact that Kilmarnock with 10 men looked the better team in the first half. They were popping it about. They caused us problems. The one that was the cutback that fell to Bruce Anderson in the edge of the 18-year box, he's got to put that away. It's a gilt-edged opportunity. And Butland's not getting to it because he's got a full goal to aim at. So I guess that's one that we got away with. But again, mate, what is that? I think the crowd made the players aware that they were unhappy and they needed to lift it. A lot's been said about it. Folks say, oh, you should never boo your own team when you're winning 1-0. And every Rangers podcast will discuss this, mate. But listen, if you pay your money, you've got the right to air your opinion no matter how you want it. And I think it's a nervousness, a continuation on for Hibs that we really don't want to see us drop any more points, and we're trying to kick the team on. But I also think you need to let them know what the standards are. And if the standards fall below what's expected, when you've got a team with 10 men popping the ball around about you, where do you stand on how Danny Rowe's seen it, mate? He says we must sort of stay with them, and he was a bit disappointed in the fan base. I'm not so sure I agree with him on that.
No, I was watching Four Lads before I came on here, and they were obviously discussing it. I seen the Rangers review earlier on discussing it. And Chris Bett was saying that he can see both sides, and that's very much where I sit. Danny Rowe doesn't want to hear booing because he thinks it's going to affect the player's confidence, right? But see, for me, that wasn't like Russell Martin type booing where it's aggression and really, I think it's hard for a fan base to tell you it's not good enough and you need to raise the levels without being a bit disgruntled. And as you say, performances against Porto and against Hibs weren't great. And then last night is another. You look back, we've said that the Old Firm game. For me, there's too many games where we throw away in 45 minutes out of a 90-minute game. We're quite happy sometimes to be dog shit in the first half. And then we go in at half time and he'll maybe sub Asgard or he'll sub Diamande or he'll sub Chermiti or Miovski. Or I feel as if we waste a lot of time first half wise. And I seen somebody asked a question earlier on about why do we start games slow? And I think that there is still a bit of being too defensive, being too keep the zero type. I actually think it was Johnny McFarlane the other day said that it's a bit, it may have been Derek Clark, they were on, it's a bit kind of horseshoe Giovanni Van Bronckhorst sometimes. Nothing each. Keep the zero and then play for a set piece. And I think last night, with the fact Hearts had dropped points, with the fact the Celtic game was postponed, last night was a good time to go and put a marker down. I certainly think, judging by social media, group chats, people that I speak to, the starting 11 never instilled confidence in the fans, and that again had people on a wee bit of a downer. They wanted to see the shiny new toys. You're playing Kilmarnock at home. You've got a game on Sunday against lower league opposition to maybe go and give the likes of your Asgard some minutes. And I think there was a wee culmination before the game. And then once you go 1-0 up and they go down to 10 men after 3 minutes, you're expecting them to go and do what Hearts have been doing the last few weeks. 2-3-0, 20 minutes, game done. And then we can bring the new boys on with less pressure. But it was very much back to that, play it into the middle, play it in, Asgard will hold it, he'll pop it back to Raskin. Raskin will get it to John Souttar, then Raskin runs in behind. Raskin ends up playing like a sweeper behind the two centre halves, and you're like, we need you up the park. But you're playing against 10 men in a team that's just got 2 banks of 4 and 1 up front, and we've got 5 at the back. And I think that in itself frustrates the crowd, because we know that the players have got so much more to offer, and it looks like we're being negative. actually looked in the first half as if we were quite happy sitting on a 1-0 lead rather than going for the throat. And as we've just said, this is a three-horse race that's tight. It's tight on 2 sheets of paper, this. And it could come down to goal difference. And we've gave away 45 minutes playing lacklustre, backwards, sideways football rather than going and killing the game and then making them have to come out, and then you can bring your new players on and inject pace then. So, again, as fans, if the first half performance isn't what you're expecting, then what do you do, Davie? If you don't let them know you're disgruntled, to me that's also driving the standards a wee bit. No, we expect better. I'm not sure what you did. They would give you iPads and you just put up a first half rating on. I think they were a 3 there, and I think they were a 7, and nobody. So, do you know what I mean? At this club, there's such a starve. We've been starved so much of success, and we want to be back up there. By the way, we've spent nearly 50 million this year, and the nearest team to us has spent, 3 or 4? Celtic have not spent a lot of money. Hearts have not spent a lot of money. Motherwell's not spent a lot of money. We should be winning this league this year. That should be the minimum expectation for the amount of backing that's been put into this team. So I think that we've got fans who are quite rightly expecting the best but fearing the worst because of that scar tissue that we've spoke about before. And I think that sometimes that just shows itself, and we're well versed in booing, aren't we? That's been our love language for the last 15 years or whatever, is booing. So I think Danny Rowell's maybe made a wee misstep in the fact that he's raised it and showed his frustration, because it then makes it a thing. Whereas if he hadn't mentioned it, or he had just went, look, it was a bad first half, but hopefully the fans have went home happy after the 90 minutes, that would have nipped it in the bud for me. So it's maybe a wee misstep on his. Hopefully it's a wee misstep on his part, and but at the same time, the fan base might take heed of it, and then the next time you cheer them in at half time and get them going again.
Mate, obviously the manager's done well to close a 14-point gap down to 3 points. But something I think that we've both been critical at times of him on this podcast is he's not always got his substitutions right or his changes right at the correct times in games. Was last night the first time he probably did?
Well, it was easy last night, wasn't it? Because last night he was playing against 10 men that had to come out and chase the game later on. So you can afford to throw on your shiny new toys. Mate, personally, I would have liked to have seen them coming on at half time just to give the fans a wee jag in the second half, maybe. Mate, shout out to you and JD. You's called Ant-Man on the left last week. But I'll tell you what, I do think your man, Tour Romans, looks to me as if he's got the engine to get up and down there. Looked very athletic, but also looking to play 1-2s, looking to pass in and keep moving. His cutbacks and his balls into the box look decent. Now, I know that adrenaline will get you through your first few games, but if you've got somebody on the left that's going to constantly be down that side with delivery at the back end there, that's going to free up space for the likes of your Ant-Man and that to come inside out of his road, let Raskin or whoever's playing on the left side of the 8 drop in and take the ball and play that 1-2. And it's going to then mean that when your Ant-Man or your Gassama or your Mikey Moore or whoever's on the left, they can't be double marked if that boy Romans is playing, because for me, he's going to offer you a lot going forward. So that in turn will help us as well. But he was, that's as good as a 25-minute cameo as you'll ever see for a debut, Davie Rat. I thought he was outstanding when he came on.
I think you can tell, obviously, if you watch again back on Rangers TV, you'll hear Maurice Ross's analysis. Within 4 passes or 4 touches of that boy, Maurice Ross had said casually in commentary, "Oh, Tom, this boy looks a player." You can just tell, you know, the way somebody receives it, opens their body up, the way that they run, you know.
What, Charmiti?
Well, you did say that about Charmiti as well, mate, to be fair. You did. And I've got the WhatsApp messages to prove it. I'll post them up here at the end of the season if we win big shiny things. But see on to our Romans, especially Ross, that is something that I think that we've lacked for the left-hand side, that penetration. And I think if he's going to persist with inverted wingers, I think this boy could be key to how we play and function as a team going forward. Because if I think, see his best 11, right? If everybody's fit, his best 11 will have Sterling at right back, because he'll keep Sterling there for defensive solidity and the balance, that if Romans is going forward, Sterling can also tuck in and play as an auxiliary centre half, so it would give you 3 across the back when you're defending. So I think that's another reason why this boy will be key unlocking the doors going forward. But as you say, how he runs, I think back to when Ridvan first got off the plane, and I thought, oh, Warwick Davis, obviously holidays in Turkey. Do you know what I mean? Because we just had that, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? Like, what have we signed here? But when you see this
boy... on that for years. You've been sitting on that for years, by the way.
But when you see Tor Romans come on the park, mate, right, he's got that physicality. He looks a unit. He's fast. He's quick. His touch looks excellent. He's direct. It looks like everything that we've lacked in a fullback for years. And whilst we had Barisic, who was maybe great at delivery all times, but not so great at defending, and could sometimes be a 7, 8 out of 10, but sometimes be a 2 or 3 out of 10, I think this boy has a look about him that he'll even get a bigger move later down the line. And I get it's only a 25-minute cameo and folk can jump on me all they want, but I think your eyes don't deceive you. You know a player when you see a player.
Mate, totally agree with you, mate. Just like your mate. I mean, it looked very decent, and the fact is, he's ours. That's the difference. The boy Magoma, mate, for a 19-year-old boy, we've said this, a 19-year-old boy playing his first full season in if you like, a big league where there's expectations and pressures. Magoma's been good. I wouldn't say he's been great. He's been good. He's not offered enough in the final third for me. But Tor Romans could give you the ability, if you could get, mate, Sterling's not going to be fit. I'm kidding myself on. We need a right back to do it. But you're back into that. Aribo left-footed playing on the right, cutting inside. With your Scott Wilson now, you've got your Kent right-footed, cutting in for the left. You're getting back towards that kind of Gerrard shape, mate, that I've been crying out for, because that blew this league away. But you need width coming from you. How many times at that season was it that congested in the middle that Barisic crossed it to the back post and Tav was standing himself and whatever else? So I actually like the boy Magoma, but now if Romans, and we never seen him getting tested much defensively last night, let's put that on the table. But I think for the rest of this season, we need to be selfish and play our best players if they belong to us, rather than nurturing somebody else's talent. So if that last night was anything to go by, then sorry, Jaden, but we'll be playing our player when it matters for now on in. And I say that now because, as I say, we've not seen him up against a tricky right winger to see what he's like defensively. But if that's what he's going to offer you offensively, then your games against the teams that want to play 2 banks of 4 and one sitting kind of between them and then one up front, you would play that boy all day long for me.
Absolutely. Now, let's just cut to this controversial point of last night's game, mate. What was wee Wullie Winky, Nasa Djiga, all about last night with his birds' clays on or his grand's pyjamas? Because that was simply outrageous, and I know folk have mocked it up, including our friends at Oswald's Bar, that he was just dressed as one of the original Gallant Pioneers, but that's a horrendous look, mate. And I get that he had an all right game last night, but I think, see, if you're an opposition player and you see somebody come out like that with gloves on and leggings and all that, you're thinking in the tunnel looking up at them, oh, he's not up for this today. What's this all about? I can't believe, mate, it wouldn't have happened in Jimmy Bell's day. I'm surprised that we let that happen.
Well, I did say that last week when we were on, mate, when you've had Gassama and Chermiti both over the last couple of weeks wearing the leggings. For me, I've seen friend of the podcast, John Walker, the day saying it's about muscles and no for me. No for me. Get warmed up properly so your legs are not cold and go out and play. And
is Waljek still a thing? It was a thing when I was playing 7-a-sides back in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, it must be, yeah. It must be. I don't know. But if I'm playing, mate, see if I'm playing centre forward and the centre half, the big 6'3" or whatever he is, centre half, has got a pair of tights on that one night, mate, that you can't tell me they were compression tights either. They were baggy. He looked like that old goalie. What's his name? Used to wear the grey joggies.
Oh, Crystal Palace. It was at Gibor Karai.
That's the very one, mate. They were like his trackies, man. They were like the ones you send away into nursery in so they can get the trousers up and down to change its nappy. I couldn't believe it when I seen them, mate. And as Stevie Clifford pointed out, how small were his shorts as well? His shorts were right up his ass, which made them look even worse. Like, mate, cut that in the head now, mate. I'm having none of that. Stop wearing tights. It makes you look as if you're not up for it. Was it Ronald De Boer used to tell the story about his first couple of days at Rangers and he went into the kit room and asked for a pair of gloves? It wasn't. It was during the lower league spell, wasn't it? Somebody went in and asked for gloves and he went.
Was it no Andy Halliday that told the story on Open Goal?
Aye. Ronald De Boer never asked for gloves. What do you need gloves for? You came for the Netherlands. What do you need gloves for? You grew up here. Aye. So, it's no for me, mate. It's definitely not for me. And I said it last week. I said it last week that you're no warming up properly if you need to wear a pair of tights during a game, and that's the hill I'm willing to die on, mate.
Well, as long as he's not got his high heels on Sunday, mate, then we should be all right. But if you think about it, mate, the one thing that we spoke about at the start of the podcast that was a negative, now we're going to turn it into a positive, because I think when we started the game last night, and obviously Mikey Moore was more to the left-hand side, the minute Asgard went off and he went through the middle, did that boy come of age, mate, and actually show how you beat these teams domestically? You play the two wide, you have inverted wingers, you have fullbacks bombing on, but you have that key central figure that's able to run with the ball, turn, receive it with his back to goal, move it on quickly and be in the right place at the right time. This boy really does have, at 18 years of age, everything in his locker, potential-wise, going forward, doesn't he?
Oh, mate, he's class, isn't he? Just, mate, takes the ball on the half turn. He's got a low centre of gravity. Mate, dare I say, see on the ball and the mannerisms that he's got. Obviously, he's a bit quicker, but the way he receives the ball and digs in his heels to turn people, it reminds me of John McGinn. It's that dead low centre of gravity, the bulk, and being able to get low and turn. His quality on the ball is top notch. But what I really like about him for a young boy at 18 years of age, see if he tries to play the ball 3 times and gives it away 3 times. He'll take it back the 4th time, he'll ask for it and he'll try it again. And if the 4th time he ends up setting up a goal or scoring. What I like about him as well is he's not fear to have a shot. See how many of our players last night get the ball in that position, Asgard, for example, and they're looking for a pass. The ball comes back to him. He's already set up Scott Volson with a pass for it. But once he sees that wee half yard, even on his left foot, he's putting it right in the bottom corner. Unbelievable. I'm trying to think, by the way, he might not have hit it with his left foot. He did hit it with his left foot, didn't he?
Aye, I think he did, mate.
Left
foot, and then it was across
into the corner. I was like to myself, Scott Volson scored with his left foot. Am I getting myself confused? Because you know how I do that quite a lot on here. So, mate, he is a player who I would already be asking the question at Tottenham, what's the chances of getting him again next year, even if we need to pay a bigger percentage of his wages, or because that's the difference. That's somebody who is out our stratosphere when it comes to buying, and we don't have anybody else that can do that job. So he's one I would definitely be asking the question about.
Probably we'll see the problem with that is obviously their former manager was on Sky Sports News on deadline day, Tim Sherwood, saying that the club should have brought him back and cut that loan short because he's something that they need right now. So I think when they're sort of groomed for success down there and they're England under 16, 17, 19 captains, I think the chances of maybe getting them a second season are maybe slim to none. But you're right in what you're saying. There's nothing wrong with asking the question. So I want to ask you about what our good friend, Mr. Unmutual, has said, one of Twitter's good guys. Would you think the manager's statement about possibly playing two strikers up front? And what I will say to that is, with the addition of Ryan Nadiri making his debut last night, Ross, you were very quick to judge Chermiti and back him up with his first few touches. Did you see anything positive in this boy, his fleeting appearance last night?
Thought he was good. Thought again, he never got on the ball as much, but you seen it right away. Work rate, I think Roll described it as he could feel the fire within him that he wanted to come and impress, and that shone through last night in spades. His pressing was top notch. Scott Wilson laid one on a plate for him that he should score, but we can forgive him that. He's had a busy couple of days, but it would have been great for him to get a monkey off his back straight away and score a goal in your debut. It looked to me raw. I think with a player of that age, with the adrenaline and just getting the move, I think it's to be expected. Put in some good tackles, played a couple of nice wee passes. There was one, I think it may actually be his first touch of the ball, where he kind of played a wee back heel round the corner and then continued his run. But I think he'll be good for us, mate. Based off of last night, he's going to give you energy, he's going to give you a press. But again, he spent quite a lot of the 15 or 20 minutes, however long he was on, doing the same as Chermiti does, and that is the way we set up. Our strikers got to press left and right, so he wasn't in the box. And I worry that in games against 11 men, when it's not each at that time, if you're set up to expect your striker to go and chase left and right, then we can't be criticising them for lack of goals if they're not in the box, because that then becomes your Scott Wilson and your Mikey Moore and your Gassama or Ant-Man. But last night when he came on, the difference with Miovski gone off was he actually was making the space, and you had three people who ended up all scoring, who wanted to then move into the box. So that's what I've been saying all along about Chermiti. If you want him to do the running, the pressing, the holding up, you need to have your midfield runners getting forward. And late on last night, that's what we got. And all three of them got goals out of it.
So, see if we look at Scott Wilson, mate, since you mentioned him. And last night, I think it's always good when you get a new signing within the first few games, gets the monkey off his back quite quick, and maybe coming off the bench last night, less pressure on him, and that'll maybe just see his confidence now flourish. We've seen everything from the goal to the potential assist there that you mentioned that Nadiri just put past the post. The wee Rabona flick pass, mate. This is obvious quality that we're going to see introduced gradually now. And I think as his confidence grows, you'll really start to see him affect games. And it'll be in the tight games when things really matters, because that's when players have his quality come of age, isn't it?
It is. I actually seen Cammy saying that Rabona went out for a shide. I never showed you that in the Rangers video because I never seen it during the game. It totally went right over my head. I never even noticed it. Mate, this guy, when my favourite podder's telling you this guy's going to be good, then I trust that he's going to be good, because he'll be. Joshua Barry is right in the data and the stats and the detail, isn't he? So I think we expected him to hit the ground running. There was quite a bit of discontent after he'd played 140 minutes for us or something. Did he play 60 then 80 or something like that? No, even as much as that in his first 2 games, and having no kicked a ball really for this season so far. So good to get him on last night. Good for him to get a goal. What a finish, by the way. What a finish. Absolutely ridiculous to get that out of his feet, and then it was like a wee kind of just controlled right into the top corner, goalie no chance. He was actually unlucky as well. He had one for a similar position, and the goalie ended up catching it, kind of run about the centre of the goal. So he's taking up good positions. Once they get in the box and attack the spaces, make himself available for cutbacks. But I think this guy will turn out to be real top quality for us, Davie. I think it's more or less a formality that will take him full time in the summer. I think he's been sold that dream. You could kind of tell if he's interviewed, and he sounds as if he's got any intention of being anywhere else next season. And I think that's good as well to have players who are here and want to prove that they're worth their value for half a season, to then for us having the option to go and make that permanent. The fans being on his side is going to help that, because he'll get that real affection with the club and the fans. But he's going to be a difference maker, mate, once he gets up to speed. Even last night, he's just starting to see, as I say, the runs and finding wee pockets in the box to get shots away, because that's the kind of thing that Ant-Man and Asgard haven't been doing when they've been coming in off the right or centrally. So happy with him, mate. Happy. Think he's going to offer us something different. And as you say, that we touch of quality, that the opposite of Asgard doesn't need to stop the ball and get his head up. Seems to kind of do it naturally as he's going. So he's been impressive.
So the one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, mate, and what we'll do is we'll park the cup game on Sunday. We'll talk about that just before the end. But let's talk about the league campaign going forward. And there's something I want to talk about, is the balance in midfield and what is the right sort of connection there. And do you need sort of different folks or different strokes for different games sort of thing, depending on what the opposition is? Or do you just go with your best 11 all the time? Now, I think similar to when you remember when Raskin had his wee 6-month flourish when Barry Ferguson came in last season and really go on to a consistent level of performance. I think Diamande is one of these players this season who has vastly flattered to deceive. Since he come on at half-time in the Old Firm game, he has really kicked the other way and has put a string of impressive performances together since that's happened, and is really coming on to a game now. We corner barring out the recent signing of Tochi Chikwane, and he looks to be a big physical player who look to retrieve the ball. What I want to know is, with us playing Motherwell next midweek, what is the balance there? Do we go tight to start things off and maybe go Chikwane, Raskin, Diamande, and then look to attack in the second half when the space is open? Or do we go for the kill for the start, mate? Mikey Moore in the 10, your two boys that are wide and can come inside. You can be a 5, or you know what I mean? You could be a 4-5-1 or a 4-3-3. What is the best connection now going forward?
I don't think you'll see your best connection until such times as Connor Barron's back. I'm going to say something that's really unpopular the now, Davie, right? And I'll get hate for this. I'm not convinced Nico Raskin plays in your strongest Rangers 11 now, because I don't think he does enough in his position. See, as I say, last night you're playing against 10 men and he's not got the tactical discipline to stay up. He's dropping behind John Souttar. That to me is not on. See, if you're playing against Motherwell, for me, they're going to come at us. They're not going to sit in. So you either try and soak up the pressure and sit with your 2, in which case Raskin and Barron at times, but probably Raskin and Chukwane at the moment, or Chukwane and Barron. I still don't think we've got anybody that does that clean-up job and win second balls better than Barron. And then you're playing Moore ahead of them. But recently, when we've took Moore or Asgard, it's been quite a lot out of the 10 and went with a flat 3 when it was Baron, Raskin, Diamande. I think that then makes a difference. But going to that Motherwell game, I would go and play our game, mate. I wouldn't go and play with 2 sitters to try and soak up pressure and hit them on the counter. I would go with a sitter, and then I would go with your one kind of your box to box. So I'm saying one sitter. What in your two in there? I would have one that's going to just naturally slot back, and you've got the other one that's going to push in and maybe join in with your 10. It's like a kind of box to box. So one that's going to naturally sit, and one that's going to naturally drift about and go and win the second balls. And right now, based on what I've seen over the last couple of weeks, I would be tempted for Matu to be Chukwani and Diamande.
Well, it's a fair point, and it's an interesting point. So if we say that, say it is the Motherwell game tomorrow night, for example, and everybody's fit apart for Connor Barron, I take it as Butland in goals. Are you going Tav or Sterling at right back?
Against Motherwell?
Aye.
I've not seen enough of
Motherwell. I didn't think bees and wasps were getting a bit in February there.
It depends how we are. It depends how we are going to play, mate. For me, Sterling, I would play Sterling as much as you can because I want my right back to be able to defend first and foremost. For me, the now, if I was to pick 4 right now, Sterling, Tav, Fernandez, and then your boy Romans, and that's based off 25 minutes I seen him last night because he's our player.
You mean Suter?
Suter, sorry. Who did I say?
Tav, mate. Aye.
No. Sterling, Suter, Fernandez, and Romans.
Is that a worry for you, mate, that Fernandez is potentially injured? Or do you think we just weren't risking him? You expect he'll be back for Motherwell, mate?
I think he'll be back for Motherwell based on what they were saying. I don't think they felt as if, well, obviously last night, Rule didn't feel as if he had to risk much with putting out the reserves in the first half. But I would like to think that what Stevie Smith said today, and it's kind of they'll assess it this week, but not expecting it to be long term, I think would be the ideal scenario. But to be fair, Djiga filling in there, I don't think is as much of a catastrophe as it was for a spell earlier on in the season where he looked all over the place.
I still don't think John Suter is as comfortable on the left side as he is on the right side. So when Djiga plays, I think it looks slightly awkward in terms of shape. I would, if you're going to play Djiga, just play Djiga on the left-hand side and keep Suter in his natural position, which I'm sure happened for a spell in Porto the other night. So I don't understand why Suter was at left side last night. And then, see if we take that forward, Ross. Obviously, Chermiti maybe look as if he could be out. So with the cup game being on Sunday, they would start the new boy in the hope that we get him up to speed and just take the chance. And also with the introduction of Ant-Man last night and him getting the goal, is it important he starts to build up a bit of confidence? Because I'm not sure that Gassama has been blowing any trees down recently, mate. And I think that's a position that's up for grabs.
Hear me out, right? Play Nadiri on Sunday. See if he gets a couple of goals. If Chermiti's fit, play Chermiti off the left against Motherwell. Play Chermiti off the left. See what you mate. He's shown he can do it against Celtic. That's where his second goal comes from, cutting in for the left. He's got pace. He's got a touch. And again, if you've got Romans, it's going to go up and down that wing. Let Chermiti. There's then that way he can drift. He can. But when we're in possession, he goes up and makes it a 2. But when we're defending, he can go out and press on that left-hand side. I think that there could be a potential, that could be a potential way for us to start the game on paper with one up front, but have him able to go in on one side and Scott Wilson able to get on the arm. I think Chermiti could offer you something there. if you're not getting the goals that you want, and this other boy's going to offer you more as a poacher type, stays in between the sticks, then I think that Chermiti could possibly offer you something coming off the left on his right foot.
Are you expecting major rotation for Sunday, mate, given what Queen's Park done to us last? So, all eggs in the basket for Motherwell, mate? So, all your big hitters? Aye.
You know, mate, I don't think that you're rotating your team. It's not like you're rotating a team now and bringing in Leon King and Alex Lowry. And you're talking about rotating a team now and bringing in... Well, the rotated team is more or less what you played last night. Potentially bringing in... So you're looking at Killie, Magoma.
Well, do you start Romans to give him minutes and then maybe bring on Magoma at half-time?
Aye, you probably do give him minutes. You probably do, just to get up. So I tell a lie there. I would give players that need minutes, and I would give players that are going to be pivotal to the Motherwell game a rest. Chermiti, seven stitches in the Achilles, mate. That doesn't sound too good, because that's a moving part of your leg, and every time you take a step, it's opening. If you change direction, it's turning, twisting. So you might find that if he's got stitches or staples in his leg, mate, that could be 2 weeks before that starts to heal properly. Which would be a bit...
Dujon Sterling missed half a season with an Achilles injury, mate. So they're really difficult. Aye, but it's Dujon Sterling.
Snapped, mate. I think his snapped. I think that there's a difference. But mate, the likes of your Bajramis, Ant-Mans, Bajrami, Ant-Man, the new boy up front, Chukwani, another beside him. It wouldn't be full strength. It would be making use of the squad and getting people minutes that need minutes. The new guys, I would start the 4 new guys in order to get them playing in the shape and playing. That'll actually be a good introduction to Scottish football, because Queen's Park will come and they'll want to be physical and rough and play long ball and waste time and settle the game down, interrupt the play. So it'll probably be a good baptism of fire for some of them into Scottish football.
Now, mate, we were in the doldrums at the start of this season, right? As I said earlier on in the podcast, Danny Rule has took over a team that were 14 points behind then league leaders Hearts and are now just 3 points behind Hearts. If results go our way and we win our next 2 games, there's a very distinct possibility that we could be top of that league in 2 games' time, which is a frightening prospect for where you were to where you could possibly be. How much credit?
You could be after Motherwell, mate. If Hibs beat Hearts at the weekend, say 2-0.
Well, it's a fair shout. It's obviously, I'm saying, is Edinburgh Derby on the Tuesday and we play next Wednesday? So you're going to know what you need to do, basically, anyway.
Yeah.
But win your next 2 games regardless. There's a strong possibility we could be top of the league by next Sunday night. How much credit does the manager deserve for actually getting us to this point, mate? And also, do we need to caveat that by saying there's no point getting this close if you've not got the cojones to actually grasp the opportunity that is in front of you?
It deserves credit, but I think we've spoke about it on here before. We're playing, obviously, I watched them in this season. It reminds me very much the way we're playing of St Johnstone winning the double when the year we won the league, mate. It's don't let them score and play for set pieces. At that time, they obviously had your Murray Davidson and Sean Rooney's and stuff that were scoring a lot of heated goals. I feel as if sometimes that's the way we play, but obviously Danny Rule's thought that's the way he's had to play because he's not had the options. But I still think we maybe protect the zero a bit too much and it affects our forward play. Mate, for me, Danny Rule gets a solid 8 out of 10. 8, I would say, an 8. I don't think as I say, the money we've spent and the players we've got, we should be beating these teams. But I get that under Russell Martin we weren't. So it's a marked improvement. But as JD touched on it last week, and you've kind of touched on it there, the thing is, up until now, we've been playing with no pressure on us because everybody had wrote us off. Whereas now, with results, Hearts, I nearly said Hearts dropping out it. Hearts have no dropped out it, but they've definitely dropped a lot more points over the last kind of 8 weeks or so. Then Celtic gone through the Wilfred Nonce, oh, look what you've done with Russell Martin, hold our beer, we're going to go and do the same thing, which has helped us get into the position we're in. But now that we're in it, as you say, you've got to put your foot in the neck. You've got to go and win your next 3. Is it Motherwell, Hearts and Celtic? You've got to win the 3 games. I'm not saying that's our next 3 games, but that's the 3 big games. You've got to win, mate. You've got to now go and again harken back to what I've just watched because it's fresh in my mind. As Chris Bett said on 4 Lads there, your next goal now is to beat Hearts and get equal on points with them. Your next one after that is to get to top of the league. That's your next milestone, which is potentially the next couple of games after that. And then see when you get there, that's when your real milestone starts because it's then staying there at the end of the season. So I think at the moment we are the form team in the league, but I do think that's skewed because Celtic had that horrendous appointment in the middle of it. So both old firm teams now have managers who are going to scrape games and get them points. You're seeing it at our side of the city. Hearts have got an attitude whereby the last couple of weeks they've been down to 10 men 3 or 4 times and managed to scrape results, bar St Mirren at the weekend. They've got a wily old fox in charge of them, but they are decimated now with injuries. So they're going to that Edinburgh derby next week without Shankland, Devlin and Halkett, who are the spine of their team essentially. So Danny Rule is doing an excellent job, but the pressure wasn't on as such because everybody had wrote us off. Now that the pressure's on, I think we need to see a bit more going forward chance creation. It started last night, and we need to keep that rolling on. I nearly said without even meaning it to be a pun, but we need to find a way to start unlocking defences and scoring goals for normal play as opposed to the set pieces, which have been great, and start facilitating that we don't have to rely as much on Scott Fry, who, by the way, last night there was another new one that Diamande scuffed just by the post, which was absolutely outstanding. Corner routine.
So, mate, I think you were touching on the fixtures, and I think if I'm right, it's in the league, it's Motherwell away, Hearts at home, Livingston away, Celtic at home. So that's the next run of the 4 games. So again, you need maximum points for the 4 games if you've got any title aspirations as far as I'm concerned. Now, we started the podcast on a sort of semi-negative note, so let's end it on one familiar talking point for me and you, mate. There was one complete disaster last night, and it was from Jack Butland, who seems to enjoy a howler against Kilmarnock at Ibrox, no less, because they scored a goal when he came for a cross earlier on in the season, and he completely missed, and he headed it in at the back post. Last night, he gifted them one again. Now, the sort of betting man in me would say that he must have had both teams to score on his coupon, mate, because I can't explain that. How did you see that yourself, mate?
Mate, it's just concentration, innit? It is. See, in games at the start of the season, he was outstanding because we were getting battered and he was active. What the difference with Jack Butland for me and the likes of Stefan Kloss and Andy Gorham is they could do nothing for 88 minutes, but they wouldn't throw one in. Alan McGregor, Chris Woods, and I know that people are saying on podcasts, but no, what would an Andy Gorham cost you in the days market there? But for me, last night's just a simple mistake. Listen, I don't want to go in on the guy because I feel as if sometimes it comes across as if you've got a vendetta against him. But I'm always honest when he plays really well, Davie. But I still say ideal for me next season is we win the league. Somebody for the English Championship, the low end of the Premiership, gives you an offer for him. You can get rid and go and get a goalie that's going to suit and play in this system a bit more comprehensively. And then I think Liam Kelly, am I right in saying he's out of contract? He signed a 2-year at the start of last season. You give him another couple of years, don't you? Fills a homegrown quota, quite happy being second choice and playing the cups. And Butland, as I say, that I don't want to go in on him because this season he's made big saves, but I would argue that 50% of these saves he makes, if you had a goalie who plays 15, 20 yards further out their goal, the ball doesn't get into the position where he's having to make saves one-on-one either. So, as I say, I'll not go too hard on him. Last night's a catastrophe, mate. It's horrible. But it comes down to, I've made my mind up now. It used to be, I used to think, is he no good enough? Now I think it is just concentration with the guy. If he's not involved, he'll come out and, it was at St Mirren last year, the one he's getting nothing today and he comes out and just blotters a guy, gives away a penalty, comes for crosses he can't get anywhere near. There was a few earlier on in this season as well. Was it Hibs, the one who came for the corner after having nothing today and Sterling ended up clearing it off the line? So I just don't, I don't know, mate. He's good. He'll do us to the end of the season, but I want us to upgrade that position with a goalkeeper who's going to be more in tune with what the formation and the style of play is.
And who knows, mate, with the way the American consortium spend money, that might very well happen. Ross, once again, mate, thoroughly enjoyed your company, mate. An absolute pleasure. I'm not sure when we'll podcast next week due to when the games fall, because with the Rangers game being on the Wednesday next week, we'll put it up on the Twitter. We'll let you know, put it on the community page on YouTube. But thanks for everybody in the comments. Really enjoyed that, Ross. I hope you did as well, mate.
Mate, I need to apologise. I've just had a thought back and I've hardly heard your voice all night, mate. I've been talking at 100 mile an hour. I've not even let you get your bit in, mate. So my apologies. But again, thanks to everybody in the comments for getting involved. Thanks for bearing with us. Obviously, we only do one pod a week, so we're juggling it about the now between me and work and you and your health and whatever else. With games falling on the Tuesday, there's no point podding the same time as there's a game. So we're finding our feet. We're trying to find out what works best. And we're well on the road to our 500 subscribers target as well, Davie. So we've made good progress there. So again, if you're watching the pod, if you've enjoyed it, even if you've not enjoyed it, but you want to help us out, hit the subscribe button, like, share with your pals, let them know that there's a couple of dafties sitting moaning about Jack Butland every week, David. That's what it is. And
the occasional Warwick Davis joke.
Yes, and good clean intros nowadays as well. We've changed our ways. No, really enjoying the podcast, David. Really enjoying spending time with you, mate. You know how much I value you in the host chair, as I said when you asked me if I wanted to start this, and enjoy the content. Enjoy being able to get my opinions across there, because not very many people want to listen to them. So just really enjoyable podcast. It's always better when we're winning, Davie, and we're doing well.
No, absolutely, mate. I echo that, Ross. Top man as always. So it just leaves me to say it's good night from him and it's good night from me. Good night.